Alrighty, now we are going to use my wonderful famous loop turner that you know I love. Now some people still have trouble with the loop turner, and I think you need to understand when you're cutting your fabric, you need to make sure when you sew your seam here that it's narrower than your opening on here. Alright, so this needs to be narrow so it can pull through there easier. If you've got this too wide, the seam, it's going to be too hard to pull through the opening. So there's my little handy hint for the day. So I'm going to put my $4 loop turner through the end of my fabric. Such a good value. And I'm going to hook my fabric over the end of my loop turner. Possibly, there we go. Then I lick my fingers because I wet them. I use that method all the time. Then I just start gently pulling my fabric through till it starts. You can feel it. Then often I put it on my machine around my bobbin. Now what's happened is the hook's got the end of my fabric, so I use my fingers and I just wet it, and this is very I was just about to say this is very thick fabric, so I'll have to be careful. If you do miss it at the beginning, just go back in and start pulling it through. But I'm going to have to be a little bit more cautious with this one because it's very thick, so I can't pull. See, I'm just doing a little bit at a time instead of trying to pull it all through. There we go, a little bit at a time. And I've got a real strong, firm grip on my loop turner. There we go. So once you've pulled that all through, like that, you then give that a press with the iron, and there's your loop made. So you want it to be nice and pressed because this is the only chance it gets to be pressed. It's a really nice chocolate brown, isn't it? I like it. Nice and dark. So give that a good press. Now, when you're making your cover, I'm just going to whip this one off. When you're making your cover, you want to measure up from here so that your tie is going to end up underneath your balance wheel. Okay, so I'm just going to measure this one off here, and it is 7 inches. 7 inches from here to here is where I'm putting my tie. So I want to put my tie on the inside with the wrong side facing out, and I'm going to pin it onto there. Now I'm just going to measure where I'm always putting my tape measure down. Oh, there it is, around my neck. That's why I like it around my neck. So I'm just going to measure, yep, 7 inches exactly from here to there. And then on this side, you're going to put a tie 5 inches. So I'm just going to leave a marks for my next tie. So my tie is going to go there, and I'm going to do the same at the other end. So when I've quilted the other end, I'll fold this and I'll cut this out exactly, and I'll put the ties on both ends the same. Okay? Now I'm going to show you how to do your binding. So it's very, very simple. For a square binding, which I'm going to show you both, oops, I've got my cord wrapped around my leg, which is not a good idea. I'm going to do it in cream so you can see my stitching, okay? So you've joined it all, and you're going to put wrong sides together, not right sides together, wrong sides together, and you're just going to stitch it. I'm just going to start way back there, so I'm going to sew from here. So 1/4 inch foot. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop 1/4 inch away from the end. I've shown you this before, but there's lots of new people in Bernina Club, so I'm going to show you and explain it again. Okay, so I'm going to sew down and stop 1/4 inch away. Now how do I know I'm 1/4 inch away? These feet have markings down the side of them that are 1/4 inch apart, and as soon as that mark gets to the end of my fabric, I know I'm 1/4 inch from the end. It's very, very clever. So I'm just going to sew to 1/4 inch from the end. And there's my mark there. And then I'm going to lift my work and I'm going to sew out to my corner. Alright. Now what that does by doing that, got my scissors on the wrong side of my top, so that's why I can't find them. What that does, can you see that? So I've gone 1/4 inch and then sewn out to my point. The reason why you want to do is because the next step you fold up your fabric, and it's perfect because you've done your stitching line. So this here is 90 degrees, and you're going to end up with a perfect mitre, because now what you're going to do is you're going to flip all that fabric over, and you're going to start sewing from the top down, and there you have a perfect mitre. Okay, so I'll show you that again. You've sewn along here, you've stopped 1/4 inch away, you've sewn out to your point, you flip your fabric up, and it can't go anywhere but on the right angle because of your stitching. And then you flip it back down, and you're going to sew with your right sides wrong sides together. All right. Excuse me. So now I actually sew from the top of that corner. Okay. So I go from the top of the corner, so make sure everything's nice and flat, and that is how you do a perfect mitre. Now when you want to go around your curves, because it is not biased, I'm going to show you. So what happens is you come up to your curve, and as you know with curves, the only reason they work is if you clip your fabric. So don't try and turn a curve, because you'll end up with a big mess. So you come up to your curve, you stop when you can't go any further. You get your scissors, which I'm always putting down here, you lift your foot up and you clip your fabric so it's going to turn round a curve. There we go. You turn your bottom layer, you do a couple of stitches, and you clip your fabric. At this stage I'm only clipping my top fabric, not my bottom fabric. Okay, so I'm only clipping my binding at this stage. So I'm clipping just to my needle. There we go. You go all the way around the curve when you can. Now for the outside curve, I'll try and get that flat so you can see. So remember you've got your tags in there. So for your outside curves, come around, and I'm on my outside curve here. I go till I can't go any further. Then I clip my fabric, and I'm only clipping my binding. We'll clip the rest later. I'll go this way, upside down is easier. Clipping my binding. Turn your binding so that it starts going around a curve. Go as far as you go that you're comfortable with. Then give it another clip. So it's patience, patience, patience. You need to stop and clip often. Oops, I got the bottom layer instead of just the two top ones. There we go. And then turn your work. And this time I probably will get all the way around. No, one more. You can see it needs one more clip. It's amazing. As soon as you start doing it, you'll see that if you turn often, it'll be easier. And I normally have a nice sharp, small pairs of scissors, not these big chunky ones. So you do the same on every curve. And then when you get onto the straight, away you go. So I'm just going to stop there and show you. Right, so see how I've done those little nicks? That could be a little bit more into that one there. It just didn't quite cut it. See if I show you that now? So you can see those little nicks, little nicks, little nicks. And here I've nicked two little nicks there going around that curve. Now, the other thing you may need to do when you've finished doing that is give one nick on that inside curve, and maybe all right there, but usually I try and trim off some of that. So when it folds over, here, let's go back to this one first. When it folds over, can you see there how it naturally, your binding wants to go the way you've sewn it? So what you do with this one is you bring this piece over first, and normally I use my quilt clips, which I think are in my drawer. I know where everything is. So you bring this over, and I pop a quilt clip on here to hold it. Like this. And you can see you've got a really nice mitre, and then you just pull this fabric and you bring it back over to form your mitre on your right side, and you put one of your clips on there. So these are quilting clips and they hold your work nice and flat. If you don't have quilting clips, you can simply use pins, but they do make life a lot easier, and pins can hurt. Alright, so you can see that you get a really, really nice mitre and a perfect mitre on the other side. Okay, now when you're going around your curves, because you're going to be stitching on the right side, I'll just roll it here. You just roll this over, and I'll put pins in so you can see. It might be a little bit easier for you. So I'll roll this over, pop a pin in there, and your pin, now I'll just show you. If you put your pin in correctly, like this, if you're using pins, you should be able to see it on the other side of your binding. You don't want to see it down into here. So what you don't do is you don't pull this all the way over so that you can see that. You want it to be nice and even both sides, so it's a soft pull. It's not a hard pull, okay? And now that you've curved it, look how easy it is to go around your curves. It's wonderful. You've clipped it, I beg your pardon. And this is a very thick, stiff fabric. I can tell you, as a fact, very, very stiff. So you just bring it over, nice and soft. And if you think you need to clip it some more, then you clip it some more. No, that's looking nice. Okay, and roll it over. And I think that was a good choice of colour because it was a very, very hard colour match to do. So can you see you've got, and you want to give that a nice press now. So you've got it nice and even all the way around, round here, all the way around here. And it's quite a nice idea to have some curved and some square, because then it shows that you've done a couple of different ideas. Now when you go to top stitch this, you can do one of two things. You can either do a fancy stitch so that it's wider, or you can do what I've done, and I've done an edge stitch. Now I'm just going to show you a quick edge stitching, and you can use this foot. Just to give you an idea, I'm going to undo it because it's not going to stay on there, because I would change colour, but I'll show you with this. So if I wanted to do an edge stitch and I had my 1/4 inch foot on, I would actually run the inside of the foot up here on the edge of my binding, like that, so that I was doing, no, sorry, further over, a little bit further over. So I was doing an edge stitch that is going to be on both sides. So if I just show you with a long stitch, take this out, just so you get a bit of an idea. And I'm just lining it up with my foot. Now when it comes to this one, what I like to do, make sure that that seam is all the way down the bottom. I use my quick unpick, and you want it to match right on that edge. So I just used a tool to hold it. This is very thick fabric. Possibly when I do it, I will trim that point. It's very, very, very thick. I liked the colour of it. I didn't look at the thickness of it. So it's a little bit too thick. Oh, I've lost my point. I may have to back up there. I think I've lost my point. Oh no. I'll just hold my mouth right. I need to put a pin in there. I'm just going to cut that off because I went too far. I'm just going to cut that off. It's quite good for you to see it because I've got cream thread. So I'm just going to back up because I went a little bit too far. Just show you. But yeah, it's quite nice if you want to do a nice top stitch in a different colour. But you have to make sure you're extremely straight. I'm going to pull this out anyway, but I just want to show you how you do it. Alright, so I won't back stitch. So here I'm going to do one stitch, then I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to go down. Alright, so you want to make sure that you've trimmed all your threads, you've lined it all up so you get a nice even finish both sides. You could use the edge stitch foot, but the bar gets in the road, so just work out what works best for you. But you know, if you do that nice and straight, says me, with no glasses on, you'll get a nice finish. But see how you get a nice top stitch? So you could have it top stitch, and look how even it is on the other side. So it's a really good idea as long as it's pinned right. See, it's very, very nice, because you don't want it going onto here. You want it staying on your work. So here's where I stopped and restarted. That doesn't matter, because I'm not going to leave that colour on. I'll use brown. Or if you wanted, you could do, and I'll just do a sample on here, you could do your running zigzag, which is very, very popular for this type of work, and lengthen it out, and it's very forgiving. So I'm going to do it on a longer length to show you, because I can undo it. So let me just show you what happens. Oh, not on that foot. Gosh, we'll break a needle in a second. But just let me show you what you can do, what the look is if you do a fancy stitch. And you want to do it on the edge of your work. So this is what it would look like. It's clever. And use your machine, because it's got so many cool, cool stitches. Get the threads out of the road. You realise I have to undo this, just because I want to show you. But look how wonderful that looks. And the secret is you get the same wonderful look on the other side. Alright, now I'll just show you a cover my sister has made. So she chose to do the quilting. We didn't have the quilting fabric then. So this cover has been made with braids and ribbons and fabric, and also has a pocket on one side. But she used a braid that doesn't stretch, and she said it's a bit of a nuisance to get it on and off, so she's going to change and put ties. And on the inside, her quilting has been done with the gathering stitch, so you can use any stitch you like the look of. I think they're brilliant. So you know, lovely, easy, quick cover. So this is a cover that doesn't have the flap for your sew table. So let me show you. You take your sew table off like that, and this cover simply just goes over and sits like that, and it's for a slightly bigger machine. Alright, quite good. And then this cover, as you know, has got the lovely little cutout, and then you tie it at the side. So either or, they're a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, you know, it's actually amazing how much dust gets on your machines just by leaving them out overnight. So if you make nice covers for your machines, they'll keep very, very happy. So happy stitching, happy quilting, have a happy month. It comes around very, very fast, and have a happy Easter. And if you are interested in coming, having a look at our beautiful, beautiful new machines, you can come in store, or you can go to our website, which is mybernina.co.nz. Or if you're interested and you want to make an appointment, you can email me on robin@mybernina.co.nz. And hopefully by next month, I'll be telling you all to go to my new website, which is my sewing studio. You'll be able to pick up all the videos you've paid for. You'll be able to see all the new videos that are free to the public. And you'll be able to download the notes if you belong to Bernina Club. So happy sewing, happy stitching, happy quilting, and have a happy Easter.